going to be a long time if you don't sit down. You're going to get very tired. We have a lot of information to share with you, and we're excited about that. Excited to share information that we believe will perpetuate what you already know and what you already believe. Now, before I get started, I have to share a couple of my observations with you, which we are very grateful for. Kirk touched on these just for a few moments this morning, which I was grateful for as well. It seems to me like the culture of doTERRA, which we spoke about a little bit yesterday, is alive and well. Would you agree with me? No. It seems to me like the culture of doTERRA is alive and well. Would you agree with me? The reason why I say that is because, as you can imagine, we have opportunity to be all over the world and to visit with a number of people, and while we all share a lot of things in common, it is refreshing for us to recognize just how deeply your passion runs for doTERRA, for our products, for the essential oils, and the experiences that you're having. So we're grateful for that and express our sincere appreciation. Now, I have the good privilege of talking with you for a little bit before we get to let you hear from some of our doctors who I'm very privileged to know and associate with. And they'll share with you some exciting news about new products and some of the advances that we have within doTERRA. One of the things that I've appreciated about doTERRA for a long period of time now is that we're never stagnant. We're never just standing and waiting and watching to see what happens. Instead, we're always progressing and we're always moving forward. Sorry, I gotta give pause for just a half a second. Last night, my wife and I had an opportunity to meet many of you. What a great experience that was, and one that we're grateful for. As we were doing that, as we would get into the vehicle, well, we have one more party left. Well, we might have two more parties left. Well, we have some more parties to go to. And we were very grateful for that opportunity to visit and to meet with you. And I don't know how to express our love and appreciation more deeply than what I already have. The gratitude and just the sincerity that you approach us with, and not just myself. I'm talking about all of us here in doTERRA and the approach that you have with us. So thank you once again. Can you give yourself a round of applause? Okay, I want to set the stage for you for some of the things that you're going to hear about, that you're going to learn about today, and put them into a little bit of a different context. Somebody asked me yesterday, do we think that wellness is a trend that's happening and that over time it might change? I don't think so, and there's a couple of reasons why I believe that. One is that we are focused on something that is incredibly unique, that is different than anything else in healthcare, in natural approaches to health and wellness, and in medicine as a whole. Kirk mentioned this morning of how we've integrated the essential oils into many aspects of healthcare, into the sciences around the world, and that the appreciation that people now have for essential oils. And at our core, who we are at our core is we are essential oils. And so you'll notice anytime that we talk about wellness made simple or foundational wellness, we're going to also say empowered or powered by essential oils. That is core and central to what we do. But this is also good timing. Talking about wellness, talking about foundational wellness is not something that's new in doTERRA. We've talked about this from the very beginning as we've shared information about the essential oils and about our wellness products as a whole category. The timing of this right now is essential in my mind, and part of the reason why is because of what we all do and don't experience in regards to our own health and our own wellness. I really believe that to whatever degree plausible, each one of us has to have this opportunity where we can take responsibility for our own wellness. Now, just out of curiosity, Raise your hand if you've had a great experience with the essential oils and our products in doTERRA. If you're not raising your hand now, the rest of you put your hands down. And those of you who didn't raise your hands now. Perfect. We're going to come around and squirt some oregano in your eye. You're going to have a remarkable experience one way or the other. And then talk to your neighbor and they'll tell you how you can get rid of that experience very quickly. We know that our... I'm really not going to do that to you, Fred, but I'm tempted. I'm half tempted. Now I'm distracted. That's it for me, everybody. Thank you very much. We live in a time where why this is so valuable for us, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. We know more about our own health than we ever have at any other time in the world. We know more about the things that we need. We know more about the things that are foundational to our health and wellness. Nutrition, how we approach our lifestyle, all of those are critical elements that give us a unique opportunity now to formulate those into very powerful opportunities for ourselves. Now, if we look at the things of being unhealthy, or we look at some of the processes that exist, we can categorize them very easily into 4 distinct categories. One is immunity. Now, we know that there's a lot of stressors that are associated with our immunity. Stress, toxicity, poor diet. We're always either moving closer to or further away from our body's own capability to be well. We're never stagnant in our health. We're never stagnant in the movement that we have to create for ourselves. We also have diseases or challenges of deficiency. This is focused specifically on nutrition. I'm asked constantly, why do we have nutritional products in doTERRA? This is primarily the reason why. Your body is driven by nutrition. And then we have circumstances of heredity. This gets to be a little bit more challenging for people. And you've probably had experiences, or maybe somebody in your family has had an experience where your doctor might say to you, tell me your family history. Has anybody in your family had cancer? Well, you're at a higher risk. Has anybody of your family had heart disease? Well, you're likely to have heart disease too. And we really have talked a lot about in doTERRA about genetics, the human genome, and how we can influence that. And just because you have predisposition for something doesn't mean that it has to manifest. There's wonderful research that has talked about this for a long period of time. For example, a protein called apolipoprotein E is a good example in its association with heart disease. And if you have that particular protein, chances are you're going to get heart disease unless you exercise, don't smoke, don't drink, and eat a healthy diet. And then your chances are almost zero. And so issues of even heredity, even though I cannot change your genes, I can't change your genetics, but we can influence and change how your body reacts to those. And then finally, we have conditions that are physiological. This is things or circumstances that affect your body's ability to perform in all of its physiological processes. We might say, for example, something like Alzheimer's fits into this particular category. What they all share in common is the exact same thing, and that is that they are preventable through lifestyle. I think about where we are in healthcare right now and all the wonderful advances they are in medicine. I have a good friend of mine who has gone blind. I got a note this morning talking about his surgery went well and they anticipate that he will now see again over the next couple of weeks. What a remarkable thing that that actually is. But when it comes to these prescriptive circumstances where our health diminishes, or where we're in our lifestyle and our lifestyle predisposes us for things, these are things that lie within our control. This is why we talk about it so incessantly within doTERRA, to provide for ourselves this opportunity. And how we do that is through the wellness chart. Now, I promised them yesterday, even though they changed that word to chart, I promised them I would call it what it really is, the wellness pyramid. The wellness pyramid was designed, sorry, it's just my little way of sticking it to the man. The wellness pyramid, and the man, by the way, is all the legal people who happen to be here, just so you know. When we talk about the wellness pyramid, this is your daily model of health. We can look at each one of these categories. We can talk about the foundational aspects of nutrition and digestion, and you can think about products that lie within those categories. Today you're going to learn about some new ones. But we also have a history of vitamins and minerals, and probiotics. We also know essential oils like DigestZen or Zengest, and ginger and peppermint, and many that support those processes. And we can go through each one of those categories, and each one of them is your guideline for what you do on a regular basis to help your body become more resilient, being more proactive in your own health. Now let me lay for you a new concept of something that has been present in my mind for a long period of time and is centralized around how our body is designed. Now thinking all the way back to high school and the things that you learned when you were very young, you know that your body is made up primarily of cells. More than 30 billion cells exist within your body. And we have, within those cells combine to form tissues, and tissues combine to form organs, and organs combine to form body systems, and body systems makes up the whole of who we are. And so in a very real sense, when we talk about your health, we're talking about the function of your individual cells. Now there's some uniqueness with this because all conditions of your health is intrinsic to your cells and whether or not they're functioning like they should. And there's a lot of things that challenge us in this domain. And that is, for example, the amount of toxicity, a lot of environmental factors, the amount of stress that we experience and that we have and that we're exposed to with consistency. How many of you feel like you're stressed? If you're not raising your hand, you're not being truthful, just like you were earlier. And we're going to come around and squirt oregano in your eye, because we all have stress. And these are the things that over time degrade our circumstance in ways that are unfavorable for us. Now that means if it really is about our cells, that means it's about cell signaling. How our cells effectively communicate with one another. And there's two types of signaling pathways, or two types of cellular pathways that we're concerned about. One is signaling pathways. These are pathways that work in and out of the cell. And then also we have nutritional pathways or metabolic pathways. Now signaling pathways are important for a few different reasons. I've always said something very clearly about the essential oils. A number of years ago, I remember it vividly, I was giving a presentation, and in the middle of that presentation, I felt like I had an epiphany about how and why essential oils were actually working, why they were creating the benefit for us that they were, because previously I only had thought about all of the chemistry of the essential oils. And in that moment, I said something very simple. I said, I believe that essential oils are effective for these reasons. One is that they're biologically active. This is known chemistry to the body. This is organic chemistry. It's recognized by the body. It's able to be utilized by the body with great efficacy. Secondly, we know that the oils are active and that they have specific cell targets. At the time, we had begun doing some study and looking how the essential oils interacted with cells, and we knew that they were interacting with specific cell targets on the surface of the cell, receptors. We also had discovered that we knew there were targets directly within the cell. Thirdly, the other thing that I said was, we know that essential oils are selective. At the time, I did not have the equation in my mind as to how and why it was, but I knew that there were differentiators with the essential oils. For example, how is it that frankincense, on the one hand, can be protective of cells? protect them from degrading, work within the DNA of the cell for transcription errors and other things, which now the research is replete with essential oils doing that, not just frankincense, but many essential oils. And yet at the same time, in the case of a cell that's been degraded for a variety of different reasons, that's not able to be prepared or rejuvenated, the body can go through apoptosis, can destroy, can eliminate that cell. It's problematic. It might mutate, it might create other challenges. And it works within the environment of the body. And although I didn't have a lot of definition at the time, cell signaling is part of the way that that's happening. In the future, you're going to hear us talk more and more about how the essential oils then act as chemical messengers directly to the cell. In my dialogue about how essential oils are biologically active, how they have specific cell targets, how they're able to differentiate now makes perfect sense, even to me. This was an epiphany now where I connected all of these dots, as simple as it sounds, just about 8 months ago. It's amazing to me that in all the things that we now know about essential oils, all the study that we've done, all the research that happens consistently around the world with scientists and hospitals, and all with their own directives, and many of them shared in the same context that we have perpetuated with them, we have discovered the most simplest of things. We have been right about essential oils all along. They are unique and they are powerful. But they are powerful, thank you. I'm glad there's 2 of you that like that statement. They're powerful because of their ability to communicate directly with your cells. Here's another way to think of it. In our cells communicate not in isolation. In order for you to thrive, your cells have to communicate one with another. And in that communication, in that ability to do so, we can upregulate pathways or downregulate pathways depending on what the metabolic needs of the body actually are. So when we use essential oils, we are upregulating or downregulating pathways. When we first discovered this, even though we didn't have the full context, was about 10 years ago with a discovery partner by the name of BioSeq, and we tested the entire human genome, more than 22,000 different genes, and we tested over 10 different essential oils because we wanted to know the pattern of upregulation and downregulation. One of the interesting things is why essential oils have specificity is because of their differences in chemistry. Frankincense is not the same as lemon. Their chemistry is vastly different. Even small, subtle differences makes tremendous difference with the essential oils. Now, I want you to carry that thought through just a little bit further and recognize that when I say that not all essential oils are the same, and I appreciate Kirk touching on this morning. That is 100% true. And if I have frankincense that doTERRA provides, it doesn't equate to frankincense that you buy in a department store or from other companies, because there's subtleties in the uniqueness of that chemistry. And we are very dedicated, as you know, 100% to the quality of our essential oils. And so there's uniqueness not just in how the oils perform, but there's uniqueness in that there are no other oils that will do what doTERRA does. Can I tell you how happy I am to be decades now down the road and understand some of those things which we postulated on very early, had firm belief in, are absolutely 100% not only true, not only consistent, but now scientifically proven. What a remarkable thing that is. What a remarkable thing that actually is. Now, the other pathway that we talked about quickly is just nutritional pathways. And nutritional pathways are important because it's not enough just to upregulate a pathway, to turn it on. I have to have drivers of that pathway. Many times people come to me and they say, Dr. Hill, I have this circumstance and I've been doing all of these kinds of things. I've been using these oils and I use this oil, and I heard Kirk Jauer say this was his favorite oil. My friend told me peppermint was her favorite oil. And Emily cried when she talked about Melissa, so I'm using Melissa essential oil. They have this whole list of oils they're using, and I've always asked myself the same question. And I'll ask you that question too. Are you using nutritional products that we're providing in doTERRA? Because I can turn on the pathway, but if I can't drive the pathway with nutrition, these pathways are driven exclusively by nutritional components, things like coenzyme Q10, for example, or other enzymes that drive the process. You need vitamins and minerals, and you have to have enzymes, or I cannot drive it doesn't matter that I turn the light switch on in the cell. There's nothing to drive the process. Foundational wellness is the combination of those two things for very specific reasons, is because nutrition is the fuel that drives the processes within our body. And so we need to become very focused in what we're doing nutritionally. Now, we can summarize this just by saying that we have both chemical messengers and we have nutritional cofactors, and that they provide the signaling that we need within the body to not only upregulate or downregulate specific function. And there's a lot more discussion to be had about this, which I'll share more with you over the course of today and tomorrow. It also allows us to drive that process through the body. Now, it's my privilege to introduce to you a couple of people that I'm very happy about. Dr. Alexandria Nietzsche and Dr. Alex DeBell. I feel privileged. There was a time where I worked in isolation, to be honest with you. It was me sitting in my office and trying to perpetuate some of these thought processes and originate some of the changes that needed to happen in the essential oil environment. I'm so privileged because now I stand among giants. I stand with people and communicate with people all of the time who are not only drivers of what we do within doTERRA, but their expertise I would match against anybody, including my own. I'm grateful to work with such capable individuals. Will you please help me welcome to the stage Dr. Alex DeBell, my good friend.
We are in the depths of the Nordic seas. The water is rich, pure, and nutrient dense. Minerals pour down the untouched mountains of the Norwegian fjords, creating a unique environment to source the best omega-3. With a deep love and respect for the ocean, a family business reinvents itself, combining generations of experience with cutting-edge innovation to deliver the best the sea can give. Now, we travel to the olive groves of Lesbos, Greece. The sun, the soil, and its exceptional geography make Lesbos the ideal location to produce extraordinary, high polyphenol, extra virgin olive oil. But beyond this remarkable quality lies something even more meaningful. Behind the hands that dig the soil, that pick the olives and extract the oil, there's a story. Here, asylum seekers find a second chance, a place to rebuild their lives, a job, an income, a community. This is the fulfillment of a dream. Nature, knowledge, and tradition go hand in hand to craft two products that deliver the fatty acids your body needs. Introducing E Omega Plus soft gels and E Omega Plus sachets.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Vice President, Global Research and Development, Dr. Alex DeBell.